All right, everyone, welcome back into another PGA DFS video. Going to be getting into the BMW Championship picks and previews here for you. But first, kind of some current call things. Do want to remind you guys of the partnership that 9 to 5 has going with Fandex.com. Fandex.com is your fantasy sports stock exchange. You can buy, sell, and short shares of any player that you want for the FedEx Cup playoffs. I'm pretty excited for it, guys. Last week, really the best part of last week was that I shorted Collin Morikawa because I didn't think he was going to make the cut. And what do you know? He missed the cut, so that was a pretty fun thing. Obviously, we have 2 more weeks left of this, so take advantage of it. It's another way to enjoy PGA DFS, especially when we get a week like this week when kind of the fun starts to drop off, I guess, just for PGA DFS purposes as a whole. No-cut event this week, which 70-man field, that's fine. And actually, we've had some really good no-cut events recently, and then the next week is obviously going to be a 30-man field. Definitely fun to watch, definitely fun to play still. And we kind of just know the strategy of a no-cut event like this. It's going to be doing stars and scrubs, but this week it is going to be much more difficult to do stars and scrubs. Do you want to mention, look at the new layout we have on the video today. I kind of love it, guys. I'm pretty excited to get this out to you guys. I was going to wait until the 2022 season for golf, but I thought it looked too clean. I thought it looked too good. I'm excited to get it out to you guys. So hopefully you guys are enjoying this. But do want to just remind you guys 2 quick things here. NFL DFS is out for preseason, and 9 to 5 has really been dominating. It's been fun. Marquez Callaway was a high exposure play. Didn't have any core plays on the slate. Only had 2 high exposure plays on the slate. He was a go-to guy. I pretty much locked him into all my builds. Last night, he ended up hitting on Sunday morning, ended up taking down a showdown GPP. I actually took down like 3 because I submitted the same lineup across different contests. That was awesome. Sucked that it was a Sunday morning preseason DFS slate that I took down the showdown for, but still pretty fun. I had some sweats going on the main slate as well. And then I do want to mention just the fantasy golf side of it as well. Round 3 showdown, I came close as well. Had the exact winning lineup, except for my last player in, which was Harris English. He was an afternoon tee time guy. I needed him to get like 50 DK points. That was the round that he struggled in. I think he ended up shooting even par with like 35 DK points. Still finished well, but had some nice showdown sweats really in preseason DFS, and then also on the showdown slate there for golf as well. And just another side note as well, just real quick, the leaderboard showdown page got a slight update, and it's an update that you'll see on the cheat sheet here as well. Another fun little add-on to the 9 to 5 tool there. And then the last thing here before we really dive down into it, the showdown leaderboard, those rankings are going to be a factor now going forward for the lineup optimizer. So we're going to be putting in fantasy projections for the lineup optimizer, which I was testing out last week, and that's how I ended up having a pretty good showdown round 3 there. So just want to throw it out there for you guys, but let's get into the meat of this video. So starting off, we'll get into last week's recap. So last week's recap, it was the Northern Trust. Shouldn't be saying BMW Championship. Apologize for that. But the core plays that I ended up on in the player pool ended up being John Rahm, 3rd place finish. That was easy. And then Berger and Webb. They struggled, okay? Kind of unfortunate that they struggled. A lot of people did struggle as well, though. But still, 75% of the player pool made the cut, which really ended up shocking me because not that many of them finished well. 15% of the player pool finished top 12 or better, and only 29% of the player pool ended up finishing T21 or better. So definitely, I don't want to say it was an off week, but it was just more of a week in which you're going to have those weeks, especially when it comes to the playoffs, where it can be a little bit more random. But then just looking forward to this week. So we got the BMW Championship. Going to be played at Cage Valley Golf Club. It's going to be a par 71, I guess. I thought it was going to be a par 72. It is going to be a par 72. Apologize for that graphic there. But it is going to play a little bit longer, guys. 7,542 yards. That is a long track. Okay, this is going to be a Tom Fazio course design. We've seen Tom Fazio a decent amount. We got bent greens as well. So just kind of using how the course is lined up, par 72, longer track, based on the amount of hazards, based on it being Tom Fazio, and based on it being a bent greens. these are the key stats I came up with. Okay, so ball striking, total driving, we do want to look at those. Par 5 scoring, birdie to bogey ratio, effective scoring as well, and then total stat rank as well. This is a no-cut event. I want those players that through 4 rounds are going to be able to go out and play well. So that's kind of why I came up with these key stats. And then just looking at kind of comp courses that I was pulling in. I was looking at Memorial, the U.S. Open this year, the WGC FedEx this year, and then the Palmetto Championship as well. To me, that was the closest course to, I guess, a Tom Fazio course design that I want to be looking at for this week. But now, let's get into what you guys came for. Let's get into the picks for this week. Look at this new slide, guys. I know you guys like it. I think it's pretty sweet here. Yeah, it looks clean. But kind of the new tool that I want to show off to you guys is going to be something like this. You just hover over the player and boom, kind of their player profile will pull up. It gives you all that you need to know here and probably a little bit too much. So just kind of looking at Jon Rahm, who is going to be the first player that I really want to be on this week. Obviously, he's playing great golf recently, guys. And then just look at that. So this is the first time that I can remember where we're this deep into a season where a guy ranked as the top stat fit, top player in the model, top in recent form rank, top in course history rank. Now, obviously, it's comp course this week, but he's checking all the boxes this week. And then if we want to look at it further, we can see that his strokes gained total on long courses is 1.8, which is really good. And he's gained strokes on bank greens as well. His average finish in no-cut events, 12.1. So yeah, Jon Rahm really just checking all the boxes this week. There's really going to be no reason for you guys not to play him. And then just highlighting some of the other players that are really popping up for me. Now, I do like Jordan Spieth. I think he's going to be a fine play for you guys. I think DJ could finally bounce back again this week. JT, I don't mind as well. JT in no-cut events, we love that as well. But for me, I'm going to be rolling with like Louis Oosthuizen, Collin Morikawa, and Xander Schauffele. So we'll kind of show you guys why I'm liking those guys a little bit more than the other ones. So we'll start off with Xander, who ranks out 6th best in the model. He's actually projected to score 101 DK points, which is going to be the second most out of anyone this week, obviously behind Jon Rahm there. Yes, they're 1 and 2 on DraftKings this week. I hate to do that to you guys, but that's really just the week that we have. We look at the comp course finishes 11th, 7th, and 46th. Now you see his average finish in no-cut events is only 29.8. That's due to kind of his poor finish at the St. Jude, and that's also due to the fact that the Olympics isn't pulling in from that data. That's something I can probably get in there updated for the 2022 season. Just a whole different sample that we're pulling in there, but really good stat fit, top 5 stat fit as well. Just kind of with Xander, it's kind of simple. No-cut events, you just want to play him. And then just going a little bit lower, we're looking at Collin Morikawa, who, once again, I faded him on Fandex. Or I didn't fade him, I guess. I shorted him on Fandex last week, which was a fade in DFS. But he's just looking like a stellar play. Second best player ranked in the model. Now, yes, I don't really care about putting stats. It's just kind of something to look at. Collin Morikawa just hasn't been a great putter this season. So, yeah, losing strokes on bank greens, he's just a bad putter right now. So I don't really care too much about that, but look at the comp courses, guys. We'd love to see that. 2nd, 4th, and 26th. That is great. All the key stats. 2nd, 4th, 16th, 6th, and 8th. Just a great stat fit. Second best in the field stat fit wise. Yes, he is going to be coming off that miscut, but we were worried about that miscut. It might just be a mentality thing with him with that first event leading up to the playoffs. I don't know. Maybe just doesn't mentally get right. So I think we can go back to the well with him as a pick. He does gain strokes on longer courses as well. So he's going to be another one of those players that I go back to the well with this week. And then Louis Oosthuizen, guys. Louis Oosthuizen took last week off, which was kind of interesting, but the guy has been a stud other than that. 13 straight made cuts in a row. 3rd best player ranked in the 9-to-5 model this week. We look at the comp courses. Memorial, he finished 18th, 2nd at the U.S. Open, 17th at the FedEx St. Jude. And, that was a no-cut event. And I think his kind of floor is going to be like a top 20 finish. So we can kind of lock in a top 20 finish at 9.6. We love that. We look at all the key stats that we're looking at. T34 or better and all the key stats that we're looking at. Love to see that from Louis Oosthuizen. 9.6, that definitely seems a little bit too low. And if we look at strokes gained on long courses, 2.5. I mean, that's absolutely spectacular there from him. And then because you guys will see later on, there's not going to be as many players that I'm on lower down I will give you guys like Patrick Cantlay. I think he's going to be a standout play. Victor Hovland, I'm buying going back to the well with him. And then Daniel Berger and Scotty Scheffler, both really standing out, 3rd and 7th best in the 9 to 5 model this week. So those are going to be some players that I'm going to be on as well this week. But now we're going to move down into kind of the other players that I want to highlight. Kind of an interesting week, only 70 players in the field. So kind of broke it down into my favorite mid-tier and low-tier plays, and I'll give you guys some value picks as well. But I do like Corey Connors. He's not going to be on here. Just wanted to mention that to you guys. He's at a great price point. Makes a lot of sense in cash, I think, as well. But do just want to go back to the well with my boy Harris English and 35 to 1. That's kind of intriguing to me. He's a guy who kind of struggled last week mid-round, just making some weird mistakes that he typically doesn't make. And, 11th best stat fit, 24th for course history, and 6th best in recent form. Overall, he ranks out as top 10 in the 9 to 5 model this week. We look at kind of the comp courses that we're looking at. He did miss the cut at the Memorial, but finished 3rd at the U.S. Open, 4th at the FedEx. Obviously, probably should have won that. And then 14th at the Palmetto. A 31st finish last week doesn't really have me all too worried about Harris English this week. I don't know. There's a lot of players this week where last week they didn't really play all too well. And honestly, I feel pretty good about the 31st place finish from Harris English last week because we get into a play like Paul Casey here. Paul Casey, he didn't finish well last week. 64th in the field. That was horrible. But he still ranks out top 5 in the 9 to 5 mile this week. That's because he's been in some, just great recent form prior to that. Obviously 5th at the WGC, FedEx St. Jude. We look at his finishes in no-cut events. Average finish at 31st over the last year. Gaining strokes on those longer tracks as well. Almost 2 strokes there. Love that. 8th best stat fit. 3rd best in comp course history rank with a 7th and a 5th at the U.S. Open and the FedEx St. Jude. Just loving Paul Casey as a player, especially at this price point. I mean, if you didn't want to go stars and scrubs, which that is the general rule in no-cut events, you could easily go English, Casey, Connors, and feel really good about it. And then I will give you guys Shane Lowry here as well. I don't mind him. He's been playing great golf. 11 straight make cuts in a row. 11th place finish last week. 23rd place finish before that. 65th, 6th, and 4th. Shane Lowry is another pick that I really don't mind this week. If you guys want to play him, I'm perfectly fine with that. And then just getting into the 2 other players that I want to touch on. It's going to be Jonathan Vegas. Jonathan Vegas, man, he was kind of the biggest letdown to me, I think, last week. Ended up missing the cut on the number, which was pretty unfortunate. He just didn't have it going on that second round, but he has been playing some great golf. Other than that, still ranking out, pretty well as a whole. 34th best stat fit, 22nd for course history rank, and then 12th best recent form. 12th best recent form, and he's coming off of a miscut. They just barely missed the cut. Top 18 pick in the 9 to 5 mile this week. We look across the board. He's not going to be like a standout play, but what you want from him is going to be like a top 20 finisher. So, and I easily think he can do that. He has shown the upside to go out and win. Prior to that miscut, had a 15th, 2nd, 11th, 57th, and 2nd place finish. So it kind of just seems like it was a one-off bad week for him. And then Charlie Hoffman as well. It does seem like Charlie Hoffman found his form like I was hoping. I thought he'd be a good bounce back. He was a guy that I thought would be a good buy on Fandex last week, and he ended up being that 21st place finish last week. Just looking at stat fit wise, top 29 stat fit this week, top 39 in the 9 to 5 mile this week, which I guess at this price point isn't that bad. I really don't mind him as a pick. If we have to go down this low, I'm perfectly fine with going with him as a pick. Then just want to highlight a couple of other picks as well. Brandon Grace, I don't mind. Top 23 in the 9 to 5 mile this week. That's because of, some strong finishes that he's had, I guess, recently. We've seen, 2nd, 7th, 4th, 2nd, 30th place finishes before that miscut last week. So he's a guy that could easily bounce back. Comp course history-wise does stand out pretty well there as well. So I don't mind him. You could go with something like Stuart Sink. And then Aaron Wise. Aaron Wise was actually popping up a decent amount for me as well. I'm curious as to what your guys' thoughts are, because if we want to do studs and duds this week, we got to kind of take some risks. And Aaron Wise kind of seems like that player that's going to be worth the risk this week. 29th in the 9 to 5 mile this week. He is really getting a boost because of his one start comp course history wise, which was at the U.S. Open, I believe. Nope, that was at the Memorial where he finished 9th. But he's coming in with decent recent form. A 21st place finish last week, 46th before that. So 2 straight make cuts in a row. Did have a 17th place finish at the PGA Championship. Overall, just kind of been playing better recently. So I really don't mind him at 6.3. We could do much, much worse. And then I don't mind going back to the well with Harry Higgs, who someone on the 9to5 Discord chat mentioned him as a pick or as a betting pick because he saw him on the write-up, saw him kind of casually popping up for a top 40 bet. And, you know, we kind of all got in on that. 8-1 for him to top 40. That was pretty fun to see. He's at a 16th and a 15th place finish. So Harry Higgs down there, I don't mind as a pick as well. But that is all I have for you guys for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a like, subscribe. And as always, guys, let's keep cashing. Make sure to check out fandex.com as well. It was fun the first week. It's going to be fun these next 2 weeks as well. So that's all I have for you guys. I'm out. And as always, let's keep cashing.